The chronometer's whine was a physical assault, drilling into Thorne's skull as he dodged another blast of violet energy. The holographic Martian cityscape buckled and warped, buildings collapsing in a cascade of simulated debris. Elias Finch, a frantic blur of movement behind the observation console, hammered at the keyboard, his voice tight with panic. Temporal displacement rising, Doctor. Containment fields at 70%. We can't hold. Thorne barely registered the words. He was too busy trying to reconcile the impossible, the elegance of the drone schematics he's designed, twisted into instruments of destruction against a civilization far beyond his own time. The energy signature resonated with his own work. It carried a subtle, corrupted echo. It was like looking at a twisted reflection of his own creation. Analyze the frequency modulation. Thorne balked, his voice raw. There's a harmonic resonance I'm not accounting for. Already running diagnostics, Doctor, Elias responded, sweat dripping from his brow. The resonance is anomalous. It's originating from a point before the original drone designs. It's as if someone is iterating on my asterisk work, but from a different starting point. The armored figures advanced, their masks gleaming under the emergency lighting. Each carried a weapon identical to those dismantling the Martian city. Their movements were precise, almost mechanical. Thorne felt a cold wave of dread wash over him. They were not simply soldiers. They were instruments. Why are they mimicking my technology? Thorne muttered, more to himself than to Elias. He instinctively knew the answer lay not in the Martian timeline, but in the distorted reflection of the armored figures themselves. The masked figure, the leader of the armored ranks, halted before Thorne, the silent, imposing presence. The distortion of his voice, filtered through the mask, sent a shiver down Thorne's spine. Dr. Alistair Thorne, the figure intoned, the sound echoing with unsettling familiarity. You have disrupted the cycle. Thorne felt a visceral jolt, a profound sense of recognition that transcended mere observation. The figure's posture, a slight tilt of his head, the almost imperceptible tremor in his hands. It was as if he were looking at a corrupted, twisted version of himself. What are you? Thorne gasped, stumbling back. The pain in his head intensified, a searing pressure that threatened to overwhelm him. Unnecessary correction, the masked figure replied, raising his weapon. The loom reweaves. The architects of time demand balance. Elias let out a strangled cry. Doctor, he's referencing Sumerian mythology. The weaver's gambit. But that's just a contingency plan. An ancient failsafe. The failsafe has been activated, the masked figure stated, his voice devoid of emotion. Your meddling has drawn unwanted attention. Suddenly, a coded transmission, fragmented and distorted, cut through the chaos. Thorne recognized the sequence. It was a variation on his own encryption protocols, but subtly altered. Elias scrambled to decode it, his fingers flying across the console. I've got something, Elias shouted, his voice trembling. It's a warning referencing an Obsidian Key and the second iteration, something about the temporal paradox, and it mentions protocol Obsidian. The masked figure's weapon hummed with escalating energy. It is too late for warnings, Doctor. The cycle must be reset. The Martian timeline flickered violently, the holographic projection warping into a chaotic swirl of colors and light. Thorne felt a sharp, stabbing pain in his side as the masked figure lunged forward. He managed to dodge the initial assault, but another blast of energy slammed into the console, sending sparks flying. The secondary temporal signature. I've isolated it, Elias yelled, frantically typing commands. It's tied to your asterisk consciousness, Doctor. It's as if you exist in multiple timelines simultaneously. The pain in Thorne's head intensified, the pressure threatening to crush his skull. Images flooded his mind, fleeting glimpses of other versions of himself, living in different eras, pursuing different paths. A terrifying realization dawned on him. The architect of time wasn't just correcting a cycle, he was erasing a multitude of possibilities. It'd be pointless to resist, the masked figure said, his voice a chilling echo. The echoes will spread. The loom requires constant maintenance. Your existence is an anomaly. Just as the masked figure raised his weapon for the final blow, a massive energy pulse ripped through the Chronarium, plunging the laboratory into darkness. The holographic Martian timeline vanished, the armored figures disappeared, and the chronometer's whine abruptly ceased. Elias frantically attempted to restore power, his voice strained and desperate. Doctor, the core containment fields are down. The Chronarium is initiating a complete lockdown. We have to get out of here. Thorne lay slumped on the floor, the pain in his head and blinding agony. He struggled to focus, trying to piece together the fragments of memory, the fleeting glimpses of other versions of himself. He knew with a chilling certainty that this wasn't the end. It was only the beginning of a far more terrifying game. The echoes wouldn't simply spread, they would haunt him. He had touched something ancient and vast, and now he was irrevocably entangled in its web. What did we unleash? He whispered into the darkness, the question swallowed by the silence. He knew somehow that the key to understanding the Loom and the architects of time lay not in the science he knew, but in the shadows of his own forgotten past.